AVA is definitely the most concentrated space in the world, in-person space in the world for advancing all kinds of change for farmed animals.
Welcome to the Hen Report. This is Jasmin Singer.
This is Mariann Sullivan.
And we are so excited about the Hen Report today, and we're going to get to our guest in just a second, who I know you're going to want to hear from. Just a reminder about the Our Hen House podcasts. Rising Anxieties comes out on Tuesdays, and we have lots of those. There's lots of anxieties rising around us lately. The Hen Report, which is this, on Thursdays, and the long-form interview on Fridays. Bonus content for Flock members comes out on Mondays. Don't forget to listen, subscribe wherever you check out podcasts. We're also on YouTube. So hit like, hit comment. I always say hit comment. I have to stop saying hit comment. Don't hit the comment.
Yeah, you do. Make a comment.
Leave a comment.
Just comment.
Just comment.
All right.
It helps with the algorithms. All right. So we have a really fabulous wingman joining us for the Hen Report this week. And you've probably heard of AVA, the Animal and Vegan Advocacy Summit, which is coming up soon in Toronto. And we thought folks would like to hear more about it, especially as it's before it happens, in case you're planning on going. So today we're having Julia Reinelt, who is the Executive Director of AVA International, which is an organization that's not only putting on the summit, but really creating a variety of in-person platforms around the world for animal and vegan advocates. So welcome to our Hen House, Julia. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
Where are you joining us from today?
I'm based in San Francisco, California.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wonderful. Well, so first of all, give us the overview of AVA and the different projects you have going on around the world, and then we'll focus on Toronto.
Yeah, definitely. So like you mentioned, we started out as a conference series, essentially providing animal and vegan advocates across the world with summits. We usually do one of these larger summits per region per year. So like we are doing 5 this year in all of the like major world regions. And then we have a smaller format that's called AVA Academy, which is more, you can think of like professional development workshops, very targeted small group learning for several days. And then we have our Grantee Day, which is usually attached to a summit. I'm sure we're going to talk about that for Canada this year. And then we're doing some exciting new projects are in the pipeline that I'm happy to maybe give you a sneak peek on this episode. Yeah.
Oh, that is exciting. I can't wait to get to all of that. But of course, we're going to start with the conference in Toronto because that's coming up very soon. And that's where most of our listeners would be going if they were going to one of your conferences. Can you just kind of walk us through maybe what a first-timer coming to that conference should expect?
Yeah, for sure. So for a first-timer, I would definitely recommend joining one of our two pre-sessions. Like kind of we're doing like prep sessions, how to get the most out of an AVA summit. They're really good for everyone, but especially first-timers, I think, will benefit from those. We joined the Hive community for those calls, and you can ask our team questions. They will give you some input on how to network and, what sessions to expect and what's the vibe, who's there, how to prepare yourself essentially to get like the most out of it. One pro tip is always to like arrive early because there's a lot to discover and you will be exhausted by the end of the like 3-4 days. So like getting yourself accustomed to everything makes sense. And yeah, definitely recommend those calls.
That's a great idea because those conferences can be very overwhelming because a lot of times there's different programs going on at the same time and you're not sure which one you want to pick. And it's just a lot. You mentioned that you're going to do that on Hive, which now I have to ask you for people who aren't on Hive yet, Because it's
Yeah.
not, you can't just join. I mean, you have to ask to join it. So maybe they should get on that right away. Can you tell people what it is and why they should join?
Yeah, absolutely. So our friends from Hive have built this huge online community on Slack, which I know some people are not familiar with, but it's worth checking out. And they provide a variety of channels that you can join, and get connected with advocates all across the world, but also they're very local channels, local to your region, to your city. And there is a lot of knowledge exchange going on and mutual support, and it's a great network. So we're partnering with them to do like those community calls where we prepare people for their first AVA.
I'm on Hive, and it's really fantastic. I definitely encourage people to be on that as well. I was at the AVA conference last year in LA, and I feel like a Luddite saying this, but I was very impressed with the tech aspect of it. Like, it was really easy for people to connect with each other, to find the notes and any handouts. I almost said dittos. Oh my God. Can you just, I know it's a strange place.
Seriously.
I know. What's
Do you
going
even know
on?
what those are, Julia? Like they're from like a million years ago.
Yeah, no, seriously, that really aged me. I look younger than I am, so I should stop aging myself by talking because I'll just let people think I'm younger. Julia, tell us a little bit, but we'll get into what the talks are, but tell us a little bit about that, why the tech aspect of it has evolved so well and what it is.
Yeah, so I will say we're investing a lot of money into this. Obviously, it's expensive to have these event apps, but the one we're using is called Whova, and it's been working really well for the vast majority of people. I know there's some people who are like not huge fans, but overall, it's been working really well for us. So once you register to the summit, you will get access to the Whova app. You can download it. It's pretty straightforward. You'll find the attendee list. You can contact every single attendee. You can, schedule one-on-ones with them, send messages, learn about their work. Everybody can, if they choose to, can have a profile. You will find obviously the program, the floor map, all the off-site stuff that's going on. There is an annual soccer game that we do. There is karaoke. There is like a lot of fun stuff alongside the official program. People schedule meetups. Like if if your group, your organization wants to host a specific meetup on either the work you do or the type of advocacy that you're most interested in, you can do that. There is just a lot of different community aspects going on Whova, and it's been working really well. Like people love connecting through that, and it makes it easier, when you arrive and you already have the feeling like you've talked to some people, you have some meetings set up. It makes it less scary, maybe, talking about the first timers again.
Yeah. Yeah. So who are the people who come? Are they mostly people who are already working professionally in the movement? Or I mean, a lot of our listeners are grassroots people. Their careers are not in the movement, but they're very, very active. Is it for them as well?
Absolutely. So we bring together essentially everyone, the people changing the world for farm animals, right? So overall, I think we've connected and trained, roughly 3,000 advocates across 90 countries. And what we see, like the majority of people obviously are either very involved in animal advocacy in their free time, like they're volunteering at like a high amount of numbers, or they're working part-time or full-time obviously in this movement. We used to say, like a few years ago, it was like roughly 80% of our attendees were full-time advocates, and that has changed a bit more. Like they're definitely more grassroots people, volunteers, all kinds of people interested in this work. We've got more students coming. We've got like people from all kinds of different sectors just interested in, switching their career and like doing something meaningful in their further career. So yeah, I would say AVA is definitely the most concentrated space in the world, in-person space in the world for advancing all kinds of change for farmed animals, animal rights, animal welfare, all types of food system change, the a huge variety of approaches that are present. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just amazing. Mariann and I come from, a history of going to the conferences like decades ago,
Yeah.
and it's just amazing to see how much it's shifted and how like there was hardly any tech available then. You would just show up and maybe you would run into people you would know, and it was very grassroots heavy, and they were really, they were really fun and exciting in a lot of ways. But it seems like the animal protection movement has grown up in a way.
Well, there are so many more people working professionally in the movement because the movement has grown so much. I mean,
Absolutely.
so much. It's almost unbelievable. It was all grassroots like 25 years ago. That's what it was. And now, but I'm really glad you said that, though, that a lot of grassroots people or people who are thinking of transitioning to the movement professionally, because I think that Ava kind of, has the rap of being for people who work in the movement, not so much. And it sounds like people who don't yet work in the movement, maybe just never will, but it's where their heart is and where a lot of their efforts are in their life. It sounds like it has a lot to offer them as well.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things I know we know that is challenging especially for people who don't have like a full career in this sector yet is cost. Like that is something we are aware
It's
of.
pricey. It's pricey.
It's pricey to go. It's, usually in cities that, because it's so international, like we need to pick places that are accessible for people from all over the world, essentially, or at least fairly accessible to travel to. We understand, hotel prices are crazy this time, like these days. And we're trying to do our best, to support people with travel awards. We spend around 500,000 a year just on travel awards directly. That's like directly goes to supporting advocates. That's rough.
That's great.
Yeah, 100, 120 people who get a full travel award per event. Depending on the size of the event, that could be like a decent portion, like in our smaller events in Africa, in Latin America, it's like a decent amount of people who come through travel awards. But we understand it is pricey, and we're trying our best to like keep ticket prices low, even though, some of the listeners say, well, it's too expensive. It is, but if I may, like giving you that little detour, our ticket prices don't even cover 30% of the costs that we have per attendee. So like the amount of food and beverages, the rooms, like you say, the tech aspect, the whole infrastructure is costly, of course. And we're trying to do our best to like keep prices low while at the same time, there is a value that we offer, obviously, throughout the 3-4 days that we do, account for.
It's hard. I mean, you can't cater to every single person, but it's very obvious that there's a great deal of effort being put into making this as accessible as possible. And you have like so many different programs for people who can't necessarily attend in person. But let's talk about the Toronto one a bit more. I know you can't go through all of the talks, but can you give us a few examples, maybe some things you're particularly excited about?
Yeah, totally. I'm very excited for the summit in Canada coming up. It's going to be a sold out event, very likely. So there's still a few tickets left. Grab them while you can. It's a really tough question, talking about like the highlights and that's a question people ask a lot. But I will say I'm really excited about a keynote from Zed Nelson we're going to feature this year, hosted by Joanne MacArthur. It's going to be on, so Zed Nelson is a documentary photographer and a filmmaker who takes these incredible pictures of nature and what humans make out of nature, like lots of animals in captivity, lots of like human created illusions of nature. So he's gonna like be taking a look at how in really what's a tiny fraction, right, of Earth's history, when you think about like how long humans have existed, how humans have really shifted the world like beyond anything that has been the world has experienced in like tens of millions of years before. And the way we're kind of forcing animals and plants to like extinction by removing their habitats and removing their like proper homes, or changing them so drastically. And it's a bit of a different type of talk from what we usually feature, but it's going to be very visually powerful, and I'm really excited about it.
That is very exciting. I mean, we've been talking so much about the importance of theater and art in advocacy for animals, which, I think that there are a lot of people who are really working on making that kind of approach more appealing to people. And that sounds like it's going to be very powerful.
And very mainstream, like he is a totally like mainstream documentary filmmaker, photographer who reaches an audience that frankly we as our like tiny movement are likely not going to reach, or it's very hard to reach those people. So yeah, I'm definitely excited. It's going to be the opening this year. So yeah, make sure not to miss that. I'm also excited that we'll have Whova, who is the like nonprofit expert behind the popular nonprofit AF blog and newsletter. I don't know if you are aware. He'll speak for the first time. We'll also have lots of focus on fundraising talks this year, with like a whole day dedicated to fundraising. That's essentially taking place in parallel to Grantee Day, which I know you wanted to talk about as well.
Let's actually. Why don't you tell us about it? I know a little bit about it, but I think it's such a huge service that is offered. So tell us a little bit more about it.
I know it's closed at this point, right? Like this isn't something that people can do this year.
Correct. So right now we are already in the phase of, because we're like 4 weeks out, we're already in the phase of like matchmaking essentially. So what AVA is providing is essentially the service of new projects and like newer initiatives in this broad movement, being able to submit a really short form and like a mini presentation essentially on their work, their ideas, their funding gaps. And we're handing this package, and that's like obviously hundreds of applications we get, handing this package to the interested funders that are going to be at the event. So we roughly will have like 16, 17 funders, major donors, in our movement to be present. They take a look, they go through, this huge spreadsheet, and let us know essentially like who they're most interested in like meeting in person. So we're going to facilitate these meetings in Canada. If people don't get a meeting this year, they'll be connected via email. So these meetings will happen, at some point after Grantee Day. It's quite a logistical challenge to, match hundreds of groups with, a couple of like smaller amount of funders, but like the amount of groups everybody's interested in varies, obviously, depending on the interests of funders. It's not just major donors, it's also regranters or groups who recommend to like a family foundation, or all kinds of different ways to get support. Last year we had, out of the 16 funders that were represented last year, we had 100% of those 16 people said they made connections to groups they would have never heard about otherwise, which is that's all we can ask for. Like that's an ideal scenario, of course.
Well, as a tiny little organization that has struggled for our entire existence to figure out who to ask for money and how to find them and how to get them to know about us. I think that is just absolutely brilliant. One thing I wanted to ask you, and you kind of alluded to it there. I think, and I might be wrong about this because what do I know? But I think Ava kind of has a rap of being very effective altruist, oriented, but do you actually? But I'm not sure that's actually the case, even with the funders. Like, can you just talk about that? Like, not that I mean, like the venom in the movement between welfare and rights and all, that is largely died down since the olden days.
agree.
But still, do you cover a variety of viewpoints and approaches and techniques and attitudes, both in the funders that are involved and in the programs that you do?
So I highly encourage everyone to take a look at the programs that we've
I agree.
done
I
the past
agree.
years. I don't think there's a space, honestly, anywhere in the world where you would find a larger variety of approaches, strategies, the different focus people have on types of animals, on, again, strategies, how to tackle problems. Like, and that is mirrored in the funders that are present at our events too. So when you look at, obviously there's the big Centera funders group, there is a huge variety of interests within the funders. Like when I talk to them, I'm always surprised, like every year, and like, oh wow, learning about like new funders who are interested in a totally different approach. Of course, effective altruism is part of AVA.
Of course, yeah.
It is part of some of the major funders like Coefficient Giving, Open Philanthropy, formerly.
Right. Why do they change their names every week? Could you answer that? Because it's really annoying.
They changed recently. Is obviously a very big funder in this movement.
Right.
But it's one foundation. And
it's
then
not everybody. It's not
exactly.
everybody.
And there's a variety of people who have strong opinions that go in a totally different direction. And they're obviously present at Grantee Day, in our program. They're speaking. I really think, like you said, I think we've largely overcome the split or the like two-sided thinking in the movement. Luckily, when you think about like 10, 15 years ago, you might remember at older conferences, it was very different. Like the whole atmosphere was very different. And I think we've come past that. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of kind of like a combative vibe, I think, back in the day, and there were always sort of shadow conferences happening.
Yeah.
Let me just add, I really love what you said about the funders saying that they found all these new organizations that they hadn't heard of. But I bet, we think of funders as being set in stone, but we're all evolving in what we think works because nothing does so far.
Exactly.
So funders are as well. So learning about new groups, it might give them ideas as well that shifts their focus.
But there's one thing that has not evolved, Mariann. There's one thing that has not evolved in terms of the old conferences and the new conferences, which is the fact that quite a lot of people go to these conferences to meet at the bar for a drink. And I know that that's a very big part of it, whether you're drinking alcohol or not. I don't know what my question is here. I just wanted to say that
it's a social thing. I think it's important to emphasize that like you can meet people.
Exactly. And you have to think about it this way. Like our movement largely is a remote movement. Like most of us, I mean, I know there are some of the like larger, well-funded groups. They have like offices, here and there. But largely we all work at home at our like little home office at the laptop. It's the power of AVA bringing people together and in person, and like this like electric feeling, I want to say,
Yeah.
during the opening ceremony. Everybody is in the room, and it's exciting. That type of energy is unmet. You don't have that anywhere else. And yeah, 100%. The bar, karaoke. We've got, I said it already, the annual soccer game. We've got a film festival. We've got an art exhibit this year by We Animals
Cool.
Media. Definitely shout out to our friends there. We do morning meditations, yoga. We've got a huge exhibit hall, every year with like dozens of organizations showcasing their work. We've got amazing food. We haven't talked about the food. We put a lot of effort into feeding our team as
let's
well.
talk about the food. Tell us a little bit more about what people can expect when they're needing to sober up.
Yeah, exactly. So, there is a lot of amazing food at AVA. I know some of the people who were in LA last year will still remember the breakfast and be angry at us because we admittedly tried to save some money and we served muffins for breakfast, and people did not like that.
And people were really mad. It's true. Like there were angry vegans walking around with like half-eaten muffins all over the place.
Not good. It's not good.
I love muffins. I would have been thrilled.
But only muffins every day.
All right.
It was a little sad. 100%. It was a fun experiment to see like what happens if we don't offer our usual, full breakfast buffet.
All right. Are vegans still all about the food? Yeah, it turns out vegans are still all about the food.
I mean, you would be surprised how many attendees tell us, oh my God, I'm so relieved to be at a conference at like this professional event, and I can just eat like I don't have to think about food. Like I just come to the buffet, don't even read the signs. Like I just, take it. It's rare. Like you're not in these spaces a lot. Like people really appreciate the ease and like the comfort of just
safe space.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to say real quick, Mariann, you'll remember this. In like, it was either 2009 or 2010, there was a short-lived conference that only happened 2 or 3 times called Let Live, and it was in Portland. And it was very food oriented. Just so that you know, it was very food oriented. But there was this table that came out, and there was this cover on the table, and they take the cover off, like everyone's in the room, and it was just the most beautiful display of cupcakes I've ever seen. And I go to like, I put my hand in, and like someone like swats my hand away, and like dozens and dozens of people start taking photos of the cupcakes, and I'm like getting pushed to the back of the, the back of the group, like just wanting a fucking cupcake. I just wanted to share that story. All right. Well, I mean, so before we move off of Toronto, what are the dates of that, and how do people sign up if there are still tickets available by the time they listen to this?
Yeah, definitely. So you sign up through our website. It's pretty straightforward. You'll navigate to upcoming events. You'll see Toronto right there, or Canada right there. Dates are May 21st through 24th. So yeah, in exactly 1 month. 1 month from today.
And what's the website URL?
avainternational.org.
Oh, and so you mentioned earlier the AVA Academy. What is it, and who is it for?
So our academy program is a smaller format for people either. So we have different tracks at every academy. There is a track for newcomers, so people who are still studying. Who we even had like high schoolers interested in this type of trainings. So new people to the movement, pretty young crowd. We usually do a track on fundraising, because fundraising is like the most wanted topic, and like what people are most looking for at our events in general. So that is for fundraisers in the movement, like professional fundraisers in the movement, who want to learn more and who want to like have talking about a safe space, like who want to be like with other fundraisers and like strategize and, come up with shared strategies across different organizations. So it's a very intense like fundraising course. And then we usually do a third track that depending on the region and like the interest of the advocate community there, could be on media, it could be on campaigning, it could be any type of leadership management trainings. So yeah, we just finished an academy in Germany a few weeks ago with those 3 tracks, and it was very intense, very like intimate. It's like 60 people across 3 tracks, so you're like in a classroom essentially for all week.
Do you notice a difference in terms of the conferences that you're putting on all over the world? Like, how would you describe what you're seeing from 1,000 feet high?
Very different, very different. And I mean, some of it I'm not like the best person to answer this because I obviously have like my own lens. But what I hear from people, let's say we had a large summit in India and an academy. Actually, we did both at the same time in Delhi last year, and people there told us this event feels like an Indian event. Like this is, it's exactly, tuned in to like the culture, the types of approaches that we use in India, because it's very different, obviously, from, other regions in the world. And the term vegan is used very differently. We had an event in Kenya last year. We're doing one in Ghana this upcoming summer in July. You see a very different crowd. And it's exciting because it shows how, well, one, it shows how many people really across the globe work for animals, in like how many people care.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And two, how different their, I guess, through their upbringing and through the politics in the country, the governance in the country, and the culture they're born in, how different their approaches are and have to be, because they need to be like nimble and agile and try to, work with the systems they live in. Similar to the US, of course, there is like a variety of approaches in the US that work here, but they're not going to work anywhere else because, the environment is different. And it's extremely, this is my favorite part of, the work we do. Our team is like very international. We've got people all across the world who work on these specific programs and work with our advisory committees. And like, it's very like broad. Yeah.
That is so great. So inspiring.
I always have this thing that I said that you may not know anybody in your life who gets it about animals, who just gets it. But if you drop me down in any place in the world, and there'll be one person there who gets it about animals. Yeah. But, I don't have any way to meet those people. You're actually bringing those people together from all around the world who, I don't think we even have to describe what I mean by saying gets it about animals.
If you saw the faces of people, like we're lucky enough to see those, the faces of someone who walks into a room with hundreds of people who care about the same issue that they care, and they might be like, oftentimes they're the only person in their region or in their country like doing this type of work and like doing vegan advocacy and outreach and working with schools and like all kinds of work. It's really emotional. It's really special. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just reminding me that I was part of a tap dance group in New York City, and Mariann and I went to Basel, Switzerland for, I think, an animal law committee event maybe, and I went to take a tap class while we were in Basel, and they all knew my teacher, and the class was not in English, but we did a routine that I knew, and I felt like it was just it reminded me so much of what Mariann's saying. Like, we are everywhere. Apparently, so are tap dancers. How many tap dancer animal rights people? I don't know. You can work on that conference.
Tough crossover, and then there's the whole shoe issue, which we
right, exactly. Don't even get me started. Well, Julia, is there anything that we didn't ask you about that you wanted to chat about or mention regarding AVA?
I think you got a really good overview. Thank you for having me again. Any listener, like if there's anything in particular we didn't cover, feel free to shoot me an email or, reach out to us. We're happy to get back to you and see you all
Yeah.
in Canada in a few weeks.
Well, this is very exciting. And thank you so much. Julia Reinelt is the executive director of AVA International. Julia, we really appreciate you being here. And it's just like, best of luck. It sounds friggin' awesome. And I mean, I know I've been there. It is. Regardless of whether you're an introvert or an extrovert or somewhere in the middle, there is a place for everyone here who cares about animals. And for those of you listening, I know you do care about animals. So thank you so much for that and for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. And we will talk to you next time.